Hello, I suppose we should have pity, or at least there's an element of pathos involved in the story of Djokovic, slumming it yet again under detention in a squalid, what one of the newspapers has called the squalid Park Hotel where he was detained before. So I don't fully, I don't fully support the direction this is going. Apparently Djokovic has a valid medical exemption, and the judge allowed him into the country and overturned his initial detention. Now, what has happened in the meantime is the Australian government has intervened with a very specific political agendum. That is, that his presence in the country may foster anti-vaccination sentiment. Of course, that's absolutely true. That should have been anticipated before he was even invited into the country, or it should have been challenged at the point when he applied for his visa. They must have known when they were holding the Open that he would come to defend his title. It makes sense. This is short-sighted politics played large. And what's happening in Australia today could happen anywhere in the world where we have basically two laws going on at the same time, two rules going on at the same time because of money and because of anxiety about COVID. On the one hand, it is reasonable to have restrictions. On the other hand, it is reasonable to make money. And COVID has had such a huge impact on our economies worldwide that any opportunity to have an event which is going to produce money must be encouraged. But there you start to enter problems about them and us. And arguably, this is where the Australian government should have preempted the problem, and it didn't, because it's responding to events rather than dictating them, rather than leading events. A government should not be in a position where it's responding like this all the time. Our government is doing the same thing. They're all caught on the back step because they're not thinking ahead. And most of these things can be anticipated. It remained very difficult to visit Australia until December, when the restrictions were lifted. And today, you can get a work visa, a working holiday visa, I think that's called a 416 or something, or you can get a holiday visa. But you still have to fill out a form 72 hours before you depart for Australia, and you have to register with a COVID test. As far as I can see, the instructions are very clear that you cannot enter Australia unless you've been vaccinated. So I find the fact that Djokovic had a medical exemption suspicious in the first place. But, this is the problem of encouraging sports events and encouraging sports people to travel. This is the problem of the then and us. And should we find that tomorrow Djokovic is in fact thrown out of the country and does in fact get a 3-year prohibition of coming back, this would be laughable, and I hope he has very good lawyers working for him for what goes on after that. He's not only in a squalid hotel, he's facing a squalid system, and it could be as squalid here. The whole Australian thing has been dogged by them and us. Even when Australia was under the most fierce lockdown and 40,000 odd Australians could not get back to Australia because they couldn't afford the inflated airfares, we saw, the Hollywood A-listers turning up in Australia. Mark Wahlberg, Matt Damon, Julia Roberts, Idris Elba, all of these people turning up in Australia and partying, and maybe they were promoting something, but the point was ordinary Australians could not possibly have done that. Ordinary Australians were stuck. I think it's a salutary tale, and I think in the end, Djokovic has simply exposed something. He's exposed a mess which was already there. Please do follow the channel, do ring the bell, do let me know what you think about this story. I will see. Well, no doubt I will be saying something about it tomorrow when we learn how the case has been dealt with at 10:30 British time tonight. Bye bye.